D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick here with you on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason with you this beautiful Friday. And when I say beautiful Friday, it is absolutely gorgeous outside.
That it is.
Spring weather. There's traffic out there, so be careful. But it is still a beautiful, beautiful day. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game National Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. How we doing, D-Mace?
Doing well, man. This weather is like my daughter. It's beautiful and it makes me smile.
There you go.
So that's what I think when I'm thinking about this weather. It's my daughter, and I just got off the phone with her too. So
there you go.
I want to know this before we get started, because I know parents. Some parents you talk to your kids all the time, some every so often. So it's not necessarily about that. But when you communicate with your kids on the phone, do you call them FaceTime or just call them on the phone? See, my family, we FaceTime. That's all we do.
Yeah.
We don't call. Everything that we do, no matter where we're at, it's a FaceTime call. It's not like a regular call. And I'm wondering if I'm the only person that does that. I do it. I don't do it with everybody.
Yeah.
I just do it with my kids. It's just like no matter what, no matter where we're at, it's not a phone call. It's never a phone call unless it's like by accident. But every time it's usually FaceTime, no matter what.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm not a parent, so I can't answer from that end of the spectrum. But as a son and as a brother, it depends on the person.
Okay.
I'll call my parents, I'll call my brother, I'll call my sister. But with my friends, I FaceTime.
Okay. So it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't FaceTime my friends.
Yeah.
I can't. I will call them.
Yeah.
But then again, you're a lot younger than me, so you probably see a little bit. Probably if I was your age, I wouldn't want to call my parents, FaceTime my parents all the time either.
I mean, I call more than I text.
Yes.
Just because I like, you can hear the emotions in voice and text.
I'm glad. You're a person after my own heart, man. Sometimes you got to pick up the phone and you got to say what you need to say instead of texting it, because sometimes it comes off the wrong way or not like you want it to. Want to be a little stern.
That was I think it was Key and Peele. They did a skit on that where it was like, cool, man, can't wait to see you. And then he reads it. Cool, man, can't wait to see you. What kind of sarcastic, Anyways, speaking of things that are beautiful and make us smile, football. Yeah. The NFL Combine is going on right now. And over the last 30 minutes or so, we've gotten some insight on certain draft prospects and the Titans' interest in them and their interest in the Titans. Your boy Jeremiah Love has met with the Titans, says they are interested. And he sounds interested in playing for him. And Matthew Berry on Twitter, a known insider, says the Titans, quote, believe Jeremiah Love is the best player in this draft. Now, we don't have that verbatim. We don't have word for word Borgonzi or Saleh saying that, but it is a narrative being put out there. What do you make of that, D-Mace?
Listen, I think, I know I've said this, weeks ago, some months ago, that I thought Jeremiah Love was the best player in the draft. Now, whether he gets drafted first or second, that's a different story. But when you're talking about the best player, period, Jeremiah Love is the best player. Now, whether he gets drafted in the top 2 or 3 or 4, that's a different story, because everybody at the teams at that position, they may not necessarily be looking for a running back. That's why, to me, it would be good if one of those quarterbacks, Ty Simpson, if he starts to generate a lot of buzz and he can start moving up the charts. Because in my mind, and again, I know that the Titans need a defensive end. They need a rush end. I know that. But it's slowly starting to seem like Saleh rather go the veteran route, at least for now. When you're talking about that D line, he'd rather go the veteran route. Some guys that are proven somewhat, guys that have played in his defense, than to possibly. And again, I'm not saying that they won't draft a rush in, bang, one of those guys with that pick. But what it's starting to look like, and we'll get a clearer picture once free agency start, is that they would rather have those veteran guys, those guys that know the defense, those guys that still have some good play in them on the defensive side of the ball, ready to go to implement that defense.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is indeed the case, then I can see them potentially, and a lot of it, I think, too, will depend on, if Jeremiah Love runs a sub 4.4, then you got to seriously, with his skill set, you got to seriously think about what would our, not just offense, what would our team look like with a guy like that in the backfield? You look at some of the teams, whether it's the Detroit Lions, whether it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, Carolina at 1 minute, but then they traded Christian McCaffrey to San Fran, and you see how much he changed their offense completely.
Yeah.
And I can name a few other teams, but when you have a guy like that is versatile, that causes a matchup problem on offense across the board, it's hard to pass him, especially if his measurables, height, weight, size, speed, is at the top. It is seriously hard to go past a guy. Even Saquon Barkley, he's one of those Christian McCaffrey type, that can catch the ball out the backfield, that can run between the tackles. You can do so many things with them. You get one of those guys, the NFL has told you, he changes your team completely, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
I was initially, when I heard of the narrative of the Titans may look to draft Jeremiah Love over an edge rusher, I thought, well, I'm not sure if that position is completely transformative of an offense. Now, the more that I've researched him and watched him, and the more interest I see him garnering from other teams across the league, I'm thinking he absolutely may be transformative of the way this offense moves, because he's not just a running back to me.
No.
You can plug him in the slot and he'll create. You can, he'll obviously play in the backfield as a running back, but you can do so many things with him that I think he's transformative of this offense. So based on what we saw yesterday in the trade with Tavondre Sweat for Jermaine Johnson, I'm with you, D-Mace. I am beginning to think maybe the Titans are looking more towards experience on the defensive side of the ball, and then looking for offense in the high up portion of the draft to help develop that quarterback.
Because what people are missing, and not from the standpoint of you don't need somebody that can get to the passer, but I think what people are missing is Saleh doesn't necessarily need that elite guy in his type of defense. He's teaching them that high motor, just constantly go. And that's why they moved away from a guy like Tavondre Sweat. Even though the skill set is there, I believe he's going to be a hell of a player, but he didn't fit what they envisioned for this defensive line. Sideline to sideline, aggressive, all gas, no break.
Mm-hmm.
When you teach that, you don't need necessarily, again, a Joey Bosa. They had Bosa, but what happened with that defense when Bosa wasn't in there? They still was a damn good defense. Why?
Yeah.
Because of the relentlessness of each player and how they choose it. So that really caused me to start thinking maybe they may not go with rush in with the first pick. Maybe they choose to either pick a skill player at the fourth pick or move down and still get that guy.
It's funny you mentioned that, because there are two more players that I'm seeing have met with the Titans, and the Titans are showing interest in. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC, who I think is a really good wide receiver. Maybe not number 4 pick worthy wide receiver, but he is a good wide receiver. And Omar Cooper, wide receiver out of Indiana, who I think would be a great, great second round pick. So I'm beginning to lean more into this. Maybe the Titans feel they need to go offense and, help push this offensive side of the ball with a new quarterback further into the future as this new stadium opens.
Well, they could. You're right. They could go with the route of loading up on offensive talent, because I think, again, the defense, last year's defense wasn't bad because they were a bad defense. Last year's defense didn't play as well because they had a bunch of injuries across the board.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch. Their secondary was decimated, but yet and still they held on, as even when their secondary is decimated. Those guys played well until they until they couldn't anymore. So I think when they look at it from that standpoint and they look at some of the talent that they have, in their minds, they may be thinking, you know what? Offensively is where we need the firepower. Defense is just, we got some good players. We need to teach them how to be relentless. We need to teach them how to play within this defense, and that will make them better. You look at the guy they went and got for the trade, Jermaine Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Without Salah, he was all right, but I know he had an Achilles injury. But when Salah was there, he was a 9-sack guy. He made the Pro Bowl, getting to the passer.
Right.
No one ever said he was an elite rusher. He's a good player that benefited from a defense that allowed him to just rush.
Mm.
And everybody played a certain way with aggression and speed, to whereas when you play like that and you know what you're doing, you don't have to be a Bosa. You don't have to be, a Myles Garrett, one of these guys that are getting 15, 20 sacks. We're all going to put pressure on the quarterback. They don't know where it's coming, so they can't key on one guy.
And even then, you do have an elite level pass rusher. His name's Jeffrey Sims.
Absolutely.
So I think maybe the Titans are looking more towards, we have Brian Daboll as sort of the head coach of our offense. We trust the development he's going to give to our quarterback, and why would we not put more pieces in play to help do so in Jeremiah Love, running back, or Mekhi Lemon at a wide receiver? It's interesting to think about. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's go to our phone lines. Chris is on the line waiting very patiently. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, guys. I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
At this time of year, we like to play around with the draft, what they might do. And, of course, the draft is going to depend heavily on free agency. But just say they take – and plus, haven't they said this draft is good for edge rushers?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a pretty deep edge class.
Okay, so say they think Love is the best guy in the draft, and they take him at number 4. Now they'll lose out on Reese, Bain, and Bailey. Who's the next edge rusher they rank?
I would have to do some research on that. Let's see here. But I mean, Akeem Mesidor would be out there. Ruben Bain's teammate out of Miami. You'd have he's not an edge rusher, but Sonny Styles would be a good player. He's an athletic freak.
Yes.
There's some options out there.
You got TJ Parker out of Clemson.
Yeah.
And then if you get Love at number 4, I mean, I love who's the other guy opposite of Pollard?
Oh, Spears, Tajay Spears.
Spears, yeah.
Yeah, I like Tajay, but he's injury prone, and then Pollard's only got 2-3 years left, so that would be a good guy for the future, and and who knows what kind of receiver they might pick up in free agency, but they're definitely going to need to get an edge rusher along with Jeremiah Johnson.
All right. I appreciate the call, Chris. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think he's got a point there in that if they do decide to go offense and draft Jeremiah Love, they really do think he's the best player in this draft. This is a deep enough class from the edge rusher position where you can still get a guy that would be effective in your defense. I'm looking at the rankings right now. If you miss out on Bain or Bailey, Keldrick Falk would probably be out there, the edge rusher out of Auburn.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Peter Woods out of Clemson. Cassius Howell, who we saw yesterday. Dude ran like a 4.5.
Man,
he's like 250. TJ Parker out of Clemson. Mason Thomas. So there's options. Akeem Mesidor, as I mentioned. There's options out there. So like you've been talking about this segment, D-Mace, I think Robert Saleh's defense and his scheming ability is not hinging on having an elite level guy. Like you said, when the 49ers were battling injuries, when they were missing Bosa, they still produced because they ran such a high motor defense. They were able to get to the quarterback and force either turnovers or bad plays or even get sacks. So I am beginning to start going further and further into maybe the Titans really will go offense. And honestly, I think I would be okay with it if they did.
Yeah. And the saying is, well, you can get a running back in later rounds, and you can,
which is true.
But you're not getting a Saquon Barkley in later rounds.
Mm-mm.
You're not getting a Christian McCaffrey in later rounds. You're not getting a Jahmyr Gibbs in later rounds. So when you have an opportunity to get a Jeremiah Love, there's only one Jeremiah Love. There's only one guy like him in this year's draft, an elite guy. We're not talking about good. We're talking about a guy that's elite. So if you have an opportunity to get an elite guy like that, then you have to think very hard, because it's not like this is not a position of need as well.
Right.
People, and I get it. We all are sort of, we are guilty of it, that we hear something for a long time and we automatically start to think, oh, that's the way it is. We've been here for so long. Running backs, you don't draft running backs that are high. You don't do this to running backs. We've heard that for the longest. But the game has changed, people. The National Football League has changed. And when you have a guy like that, a Saquon, a Christian McCaffrey, a Jeremiah Love, the kid out of New Orleans, why am I forgetting his name? Yeah, Alvin Kamara. And I know Alvin Kamara was a second rounder, I believe.
Yeah.
But when you have guys like that, I guarantee you, if Kamara, with the things that, if they knew what they knew, then now they would have drafted him in first round.
Yeah.
So when we look at running backs, we got to stop looking at them as, oh, you don't draft running backs in the first round. You draft these type of running backs.
Yeah.
The Jeremiah Loves, you draft them top 10.
What's funny is all the running backs you listed, Barkley, Gibbs, Bijan Robinson.
Except Bijan, I forgot about him.
All of those running backs are completely transformative of the way their offense moves the ball. I believe that in this league,
all of them were first round picks.
All of them were first round picks as well. Kamara is the only second round pick, but he is still transformative. Exactly. Derrick Henry was a second round pick. He is transformative of the Ravens offense. He was transformative here. What I believe is in this league, you are required 3 things if you want to win a championship. You need a good quarterback. You need a good someone to hit the cornerback on the other side of the ball, which the Titans have in Jeffrey Simmons. And then you need a run game. A run game is the foundation of an offense. The passing game, you can sprinkle guys in and make some production there. It may not be as productive as other teams in the league just because of elite wide receivers, but a run game, you need an elite running back. The Titans, fortunately, have had a history of having that elite running back, that elite run game, and they've fallen on hard times the last couple of years. So to me, looking at the history of this franchise and how they play the run game, I think it would make sense to take a running back like that.
Just think, he can be to this offense what's formative. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He can run routes. He can run between the tackles. And he was one seam away from going 90, 80, 70, whatever it was. Jeremiah Love's the same. Yeah. So why wouldn't you want a guy
that's a
like
really
that?
Good comp?
Yeah. You know, why would, and I think CJ was a second round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right. Let's see.
But the way he transformed the Titans offense, the things that he could do, why wouldn't Titan fans want to see that again?
Yeah, and look, it's not out of this world to think that the Titans are going to pass up another position of need to draft something that'll help them on offense. There's examples of NFL history where this has been done before. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
They needed offensive line help desperately. Penei Sewell out of Oregon was sitting right there. What did they do? They took Jamar Chase. How did that work out for him?
Great.
Pretty good. I would say they've got probably one of the best, if not the best, quarterback wide receiver duos in the entire league. So Chris Johnson, I think, is a great comparison for Jeremiah Love, and I'm beginning to go into it. I'm kind of hopping on the bandwagon with you, D-Mace. I think you're swaying me. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. Coming up next, D-Mace and I will continue the conversation on guys the Titans could potentially find at number 4. Plus, some news came out today about a potential Titans free agent that will not return to his team And I believe the Titans are going to send everything they got to bring him in. We'll get to that coming up next, right here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David James with you on 102.5 The Game. I did not expect to come in here today and just get rickrolled on the program. I feel like this is like, what was this, 2015 when this was a thing?
A little bit later than that.
He's the 80s, man.
Well, I know he's the 80s, but this was
that was 2005 to like 2010.
Yeah, it was before my time. Well, no, I was little.
Yeah, you were like a baby.
When were you born?
04.
Oh,
You had
wow, man.
you had already left here, I think.
Yeah, I did. Gosh, man. Whew.
This is an 80s song, though.
It is, man.
One of the worst songs of all time.
No, it's not.
Whoa.
I'm never gonna let you
It's
down.
I
Never
can't
gonna
stand it.
run, hurt you.
All right, I gotta
Come
cut
on,
this.
man.
No, it's not. It's not. Welcome back. Teammates Vic and Tonic here with you on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes with you on this Friday. And D-Mace, there was some news that came out today.
Mm-hmm.
It appears that wide receiver from the New York Giants and the University of Kentucky, Wan'Dale Robinson, will not be negotiating with the New York Giants to return. I believe this is a player that the Tennessee Titans should send, maybe not everything they got, but they should look to bring him in because I think he could help that offense and that wide receiver out a lot.
Yeah, I think, him being with Dayball in that offense and, flourishing in that offense. And he's not one of those guys that, is closer to that 30-year age or over that 30-year age. He's a guy he's pretty young. What is this? His fourth year now?
Drafted in 22.
Yeah.
Or 21.
Okay. So going on his fourth year, and he's young, 26, 27, somewhere around there. I think it would be a really good addition. Again, you're bringing someone that has productivity, that knows this offense, that's reliable. Those are the things that Cam Ward needs as he learns this offense. He needs someone that knows it and that he can sort of talk to and figure out some of the nuances while he's learning the offense as well. And a guy that can just come in, and it's going to be hard work for him, but that can come in and establish himself and give this offense a jump start. I think he's a pretty good wide receiver. Is he a 1 or 2? No, but he is a hell of a slot guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he can help stretch the field and open some things up.
He is 25,
just
came off a 1,000-yard season with the New York Giants. And I like it because I think there's familiarity there.
Yes.
Obviously, he's worked with Dayball. He understands how that offense works. And kind of like what we've been talking about with the defense, you need pros to come in and preach that system to the younger guys that may not quite understand it yet. I think the same could be said for the Dayball system. Like you said, D-Mace, I think that's a guy as a traditional slot wide receiver. He may not come in here and be your wide receiver one, but I think he's the kind of guy that if you're going a wide receiver committee, he could absolutely help you out as a traditional slot receiver. He's shorter, but he's quick. He's fast. He's a great route runner. I think he's a good player. I think in my time with him, watching him play for Kentucky, and then, of course, watching him in the NFL, you also know how he works with young quarterbacks. He worked well with Jackson Dart, and I believe Cam Ward is a better prospect than Jackson Dart is. So I think it would be beneficial to both your coaching staff and your quarterback to bring him in.
He's a chain mover. He averaged 11 yards per catch. He's not a big touchdown guy. He had 4 last year, but he did have 92 receptions, 39 first downs. So he's a guy that is capable of moving the chains, and that's what you need. This is going to be a quick passing game, but they're going to stretch the ball down the field, and I just think he's one of those guys that, if you use him the right way, which Dayball did last year, his numbers may even increase this year than what they were last year, because now you're really familiar with him. Now he's really sort of getting into his groove now as a player. He's built up a lot of confidence. So barring injury, I think this would be, if indeed he does sign with the Titans. But one of the things is going to be money.
Right.
Because the Titans are not the only team looking for, another wideout, a productive wideout, there are other teams out there looking for another wideout as well, a third wideout or slot guy. So you're going to have to compete with a few other teams. And, one of the good things is that you have familiarity with him. So he knows you, you know him, he knows the offense. So, if you sign him, that's great, but you're going to you may have to pay him a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think it's going to be a market-setting deal.
No, it's not.
He's not a wide receiver one. He'd be a guy to come in and play the slot. But looking at his stats, he's grown every year. His first year was 23 catches for 227. Great. He's a rookie. His second year, 60 for 525, then 93 for 699, and then last year coming off of a 92 for 1,014 yards. And of course, some of that is they're missing their best receiver and they lost. Why am I blanking on his name? Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Of course, who is an elite wide receiver in this league. But you're seeing production. He's capable of producing at an NFL level with a young quarterback. So I think I really like the idea of bringing him in. And, he wouldn't be my favorite signing ever just because I think there are bigger holes to fill when it comes to wide receivers. But I think if you brought him back, you would have to look to bring Calvin Ridley back just to be the wide receiver one and just be a veteran presence in this wide receiver room.
Yeah, because they're going to need that guy. And I think Calvin, he can be the Titans' number one. His thing is staying on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be able to stay on the field. If he can stay on the field, I think you're going to get the production out of Calvin Ridley, especially in this offense. But that's a big if. But you got to bring in a guy, or you should bring in another guy. And listen, they have DK and they have Ellick. It's not like he would be taking away any, opportunities for those two guys. What he does is enhance their receiving room, and he becomes a slot if indeed that happens, meaning them signing. He becomes a slot. You got your two other guys on the outside. You got Ridley at the Z and Ellick at the X, and then DK can be your sort of move guy.
Yeah.
And because that's what he was this past season. He was your move guy. You did certain things with him. You still will be able to do those things with them in this offense with a Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, I agree. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Texter on the text line says, am I the only one who feels Restrepo got the shaft last year? I know he was undrafted and got hurt, but he showed up on the field. Just feels like he's forgotten.
Listen, the unfortunate part about, because I think Restrepo is a player. I think he can play in this league. He showed that he can play in this league. But the problem is, listen, they have a hard time with forgetting the measurables. They have a hard time with forgetting the time that he ran. And he has his climb is a lot steeper than other players. Not because he can't play, because he can.
Mm-hmm.
He can play in this league, but because it's almost like your first impression is your last impression, or the impression that people always go to. Well, his first impression was him running a slow time at the combine and him not having that quickness that you need. But then once you put him on the field, it's like, man, this dude can play.
Yeah.
But people still see the 4 whatever that he ran and not all the great numbers in the combine. And that's going to be a hindrance to him. But the texter is right. He sort of is the forgotten guy, but what he has to do is continue to do what he has been doing. Make them remember him.
The NFL obviously stands for not for long in some cases. In other cases, I think they have long-term memory and they remember these things.
Yes.
Like you said, that's the lasting impression is his 40 time. It's why some guys in this league get opportunity after opportunity because of the success they've had elsewhere. Why do you think John Ross got so many opportunities? Because he ran a fast 40 time and people thought, I can fix him.
I would have told, hey, listen, if you want me to evaluate wide receivers for you, I will do it. But I even said back then, like, anybody that's drafting John Ross, they shouldn't do it.
Right. He's just an athlete.
He can run fast.
Yeah.
That's all he can do. And it showed up. That's all he could do.
Yeah, it's weird how it's a short-term league, but it's also a long-term league in that
with
aspect.
some things.
With some things.
Speed being one of them.
Right. It's like I fully expect DeAndre Hopkins to find himself somewhere just because of the success throughout his career. It may not be in Baltimore, but you'll find him somewhere because someone will look at him and think, that's a winner.
Mhm.
We've seen him win at an NFL level. We'll bring him in and instill winning culture with us. But as far as Wan'Dale Robinson, I think he'd be a fit here just because of the familiarity. I like what he brings to the quarterback room. And look, maybe the Titans go out and draft a wide receiver. I think that's someone that can complement that well. Now, it may reduce some of the roles that you had last year. Like DK may not play as impactful a role on the offense as he did last year, but some of that was because of injuries. Calvin Ridley couldn't stay on the field. Some of that is, I think, you've got tape on DK now. You know what he's capable of doing. And there's another thing that it's a different system. You've got a Dayball system now instead of a Mike McCoy system. So there's a lot of factors that go into this and to this signing. But if there is a slot receiver out there that the Titans were willing to bring in, Wan'Dale Robinson would probably be at the top of my list. I like Juwan Jennings, of course. Alec Pierce is by far my favorite receiver out there. I'm not sure if the Colts are going to let him go, but we'll see.
Yeah, but for me, Jennings, he's a different type of slot wide receiver than Wan'Dale is.
Yeah, he's bigger.
He's bigger, physical, a little bit more physical. So he's a different type of slot receiver. And if you're going for that type of receiver, then he would fit what you are looking for. Alec Pierce, they would sign him to be a bona fide number one, and I'm not sure if he is a true bona fide number one.
I agree with that.
Especially with what you are going to have to pay him. If that's the case, then, I'm keeping Calvin Ridley and, bringing in that slot guy as we spoke. But those guys, when you talk about these guys, they all are different. But they all would help. But you can't get into a situation where you're trying to make a guy something he's not.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people would be doing, or at least the Titans would be doing with Alec Pierce. Even though if they signed him, I would think it's a good signing. But I think they would sign him to be the number one guy. And I'm not sure if he's a true number one.
And unfortunately, the Titans have a bad history of doing that with wide receivers. We've seen it with Julio Jones came in here, and DeAndre Hopkins is maybe separate from that, but Andre Johnson and Randy Moss and these wide receivers that maybe were guys of the past. Alec Pierce, I don't think fits that mold, but what I'm trying to say is they brought them in to be something that they weren't, and it didn't work out. So hopefully they don't do that again. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to get involved in the conversation, D-Mason and I will continue this conversation coming up next. Plus, how do you replace a certain Titans center that was just released a couple of days ago for not passing his physical? Lloyd Cushenberry. Obviously, all the chips are going to be put in the middle on Tyler Lindenbaum, the center out of Baltimore, and rightfully so. But if the Ravens don't let him go, then what do? We'll get to that coming up next on the other side of the break. Tonight, Vanderbilt baseball takes on UC Irvine at 4 p.m. Catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. D-Mace and I will continue the conversation. Again, D-Mace, Connor Newt, David James here with you on DVD on 102.5 The Game. Catch D-Mace with 102.5 The Game live at Music City Indian, located at 1003 8th Avenue in Nashville, tomorrow from noon to 2 p.m. Nash and the Preds Energy team will be there, plus enter to win Preds tickets and your chance to win a custom Predators Indian motorcycle signed by the whole team from Law Tigers and Music City Indian. Welcome back, DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason with you. Willie Donick will be along later in the show. And I'm realizing it looks like D-Mace had control of the playlist today.
What makes you think that?
Little red Corvette.
Is this
Come on, you better know who it is. You better know who it is, Connor.
is this Prince?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. My mom is a massive, massive Prince fan, so she would probably punish me if I didn't know that. So that's like older Prince though, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like early
Prince. 80s. That was 80s Prince.
Yeah. That's the good stuff though.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, as we know, earlier this week, the Tennessee Titans made some cuts. One of those being center Lloyd Cushenberry because he couldn't pass his physical. Obviously, all eyes are on Baltimore Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum, who they're prepared to make a market-setting value pitch to him in order to keep him around. I can't see him leaving Baltimore, but there is talk that he's not interested in staying. So the Titans should be all in on him. I think we can all agree on that. If they are not, for whatever reason, able to bring him in, what do they do at center, D-Mace?
Well, I think you still, have an opportunity to, see what Corey Levin is thinking. Now, Corey Levin is 31, I believe. Yeah, somewhere around there. But when he played last year, albeit it was early, I think he had a lot. He played all of preseason, I believe, and he played some during the season. But I thought he did a really good job at playing that position, and so much so that I thought that they should have allowed Cushenberry to rest a little bit more, and let Corey Levin take on that position until, he was really ready to go. But they didn't, and they put Cushenberry back in there. But he's one of those guys that can play guard as well. But, the quarterback has some familiarity with him. He knows the team, obviously. It'll be a new offense he's running. But I think Corey Levin first should be a guy that you talk to. He wouldn't come with a high price. And then after that, there's some guys out there, but not worth. The Commanders just cut their tight end, Tyler Baydas. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but they cut their center a couple of days ago.
He was hurt. Too,
he was hurt. He didn't play as well. He is a former Pro Bowl center, but he just didn't play that way last year. So that could be a situation that, the Titans look at and bring him in on a free agent visit. But other than that, do you go Cade Mays?
Yeah, that's kind of who I was thinking.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the more established option. I'm looking at Spot Rack right now. Corey Levin's projected value would be 1.5 million AAV. So that's the cheap option for sure. And obviously that's an option that proved well last year. Familiarity there, of course. It's a guy that you don't have to let leave the locker room. But in terms of Cade Mays, you're probably looking at about 12 million. But he's a proven guy. He is, let's see how old he is. He's 26, so not relatively old, from Tennessee. So he's familiar with the area. He's a 6th-round pick. So that's a success story.
Do you? Because I don't know how. Do you think Carolina is pushing to sign him back or no?
If I am them, I would.
Yeah.
Just because that's a team that I think has a few young foundational pieces, and they've shown you they're capable of winning. They made the playoffs last year. So
he, like Linderbaum, would come with, you're negotiating with him, but he's also negotiating with other teams as well. So it's almost like, how much are you willing to pay him?
Right. It's a bidding war. That's all it is. So Connor McGovern, I'm looking at as well. He's from Buffalo. He's a little bit older. He
Mhm.
is 28. He'll be 29 later this season, but he is a proven guy. He's won on an NFL level before, obviously. He's made it to AFC championships with the Bills.
Mhm.
He's a bit expensive, looking at 16 million, but
Mhm.
that I think is the most proven option you can grab out there. I don't know. It's interesting to look at this because if he hadn't passed, or if he had passed his physical, I don't think we'd be having this conversation.
Yeah, me either.
I think Lloyd Cushenberry would still
Mhm.
be a Tennessee Titan, but there's just so much injury concern ever since that Achilles injury, and he'll find his way somewhere else because I think he's a good player. He did
Yeah.
good work here, but it is kind of unfortunate that they had to move on. Center is obviously a major position of need. I think it's a position on that offensive line that goes untalked about, honestly, but it's just a matter of, do you want to pay the money for that position?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, this team has had its sort of issues or revolving door with the center, whether it was Corey, was it Brewer?
Corey Brewer?
Yeah, Corey Brewer, his lack of size, or Cushenberry, him not being out there because of injury.
Aaron Brewer. Corey Brewer was the Florida basketball player.
There you go.
Portland, Tennessee legend.
Yeah,
Corey Brewer.
that's right.
Aaron Brewer. So listen, when you find a center, you got to keep him because he's the direct extension from the to the quarterback. So what he's seeing is typically what the quarterback is seeing, and he's the one that's in some offenses that are making the calls. As far as like protections and everything. So if you can get a seasoned guy, a guy that knows that position, that's why I look at guys like Corey Levin. If Lloyd Cushenberry wasn't hurt, would they have cut him? Connor McGovern,
yeah,
guys like that. That are seasoned guys, and I don't mean seasoned like 8-9 years, but guys that have been starters or are starters. Guys that caught protection, guys that played at a certain level. When you get those guys, you got to keep them.
Yeah,
you have to keep them. But unfortunately for the Titans, Cushenberry was just hurt. So they decided to move on from him, and he's not getting any younger either. So
no, yeah, I think he's declining. Unfortunately, he was all right here. I didn't think he played to his full potential, but injuries held him back, and there were certain things. I think the system may have been a detriment to him as well. But you're right in that I wouldn't label a center a premium position, but it is a very important position on the offensive line. I mean, they're snapping the ball. So when you have a good one, you got to keep it. That's why I don't think Linderbaum will hit the free market. That's why I'm not sure Cade Mays will hit the free market, just because that's a young, growing team in Carolina. So it's interesting to look at, but I think they need to err on the side of bring in as much experience as they possibly can on both sides of the ball. So I don't know, maybe McGovern's the move here. I'm glad this isn't a decision I have to make because I would be afraid I'd make the wrong one. But
it's not a marquee or a position that you value like that. But if you don't have one, you notice.
Yeah.
You notice when things are not flowing, especially as the weather starts to change.
And we noticed that here.
Exactly.
When Ben Jones retired, it seemed like there was a dysfunction on that offensive line. Then they brought Cushenberry in, and there was a little bit more stability on that offensive line. I think he did his job. But you're right in that if you don't have a good one, you notice.
Exactly.
And we noticed that here.
And we've noticed it for a long time. So whichever one of these centers, or again, they may choose to bring Corey Levin back. Obviously, it would be under a new contract, but they may decide to bring Corey Levin back and sort of do it that way. I'm not sure who their centers are like now.
They've got Jackson Slater, who they drafted last year. He's kind of a developmental guy. Like, he was a late, I think he was a 7th round pick, but he's kind of developing.
He's 5th round.
5th round.
Yep.
That's right.
So hey, they may think, and he's one of those guys that guard, center. They may look at him as a guard, try him as center, just in case, the center gets hurt. But they're probably looking at him as a guard that can play center. And they may be looking to go in another direction as far as who they want to be their every down center.
Yeah.
And again, it could be Corey Levin bringing him back, or it could be going out and getting one of these guys that, are free agents that you hope doesn't sign back with their own team.
Yeah. There's some luck that's got to come into this at some point. Maybe the Ravens and Linderbaum just say, we're done with each other. We're breaking up. And that's
let's not put that out there.
Nah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I just said, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm pleading to the football gods that some of that happens. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Matthew from Jolton says, I value center right under left tackle. I believe it is the second most important player on the offensive line. I would agree with that.
I would agree with that too. Honestly, I know you have to have a left tackle, but if you're not calling those protections right, if you're not seeing things right,
yeah,
you can make life hell for the quarterback. Meaning, in today's football, they want to force you to step up in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't step up in the pocket, it's going to be a very long day. But if you got a center that can hold his ground and not let those big nose tackles or those big defensive tackles push you back, if you have one of those guys, you notice very quickly, because your quarterback's able to step up in the pocket. He's able to maneuver around in the pocket. If you don't have one of those guys, your quarterback can't do anything.
There's dysfunction,
exactly,
for sure, and it's like bleeding through a cloth. It's very noticeable. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Coming up next, we'll get back into the edge rusher conversation, but there's a guy I'm interested where his fit is now. Now with the trade and potentially drafting an edge rusher at number 4. Where does your second round pick, Femi Oladejo, fit into the equation? D. Mason and I will discuss that coming up next. Quickly, let me tell you that Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media are teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? Nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you could win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. We'll continue the conversation coming up next. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes here with you on DVD on 102.5 The Game. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick here with you on 102.5 The Game on this Friday. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes with you, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Obviously, Adam Vingen still out with his new family. I believe he'll be back Monday, though, so looking forward to that. Willie Donick will hopefully join us later on in the show. Just me, D-Mace, and his playlist today. Sounds like.
Hey man, my playlist is
Hey, I'm digging it. I'm
A1.
digging it. So I mean, you're 1 for 2. So
1 for 2. I'm 2 for 2, man. Come on now.
you're what? Well, I'm not a big Rick Astley fan. I'm sure you. Can you name one other Rick Astley song? Exactly.
Nope.
Exactly.
But I like that one. You know why I like that one? Because that was in Beverly Hills Cop. 2 or
Great
2,
movie.
I think. Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one song. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
One
you're
movie,
hit.
one song. That's all you need.
I thought of you the other day, you and TD, because I was just kind of driving. It was nighttime. I threw on some easy listening, and Keisha Cole came on.
Oh, okay.
I was like, both of these guys,
Okay.
I'm sure love them some Keisha.
Yeah, that was right around. That was my era. That was my era.
It was like, I think it was late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. You was still a little whippersnapper, man.
I wasn't here yet, but
Oh, that's right. Goodness gracious, man.
It wasn't even a thought yet.
Man, goodness.
that was about 6 years before my time. But
Man, I got to remember that.
anyway, yeah,
Mental note.
I prefer you forget it. That's okay.
It's a good thing that you're young, man. It's a good thing that you're young.
That's okay with me. Speaking of young whippersnappers, the Titans just traded one away over to the New York Jets, Tavondre Sweat, as we talked about a lot yesterday and a little bit today. They brought back Jermaine Johnson, an edge rusher, a fifth-year guy out of Florida State in return. So it raises an argument for me. Not an argument, but a question. Obviously, the Titans are going all in on edge rusher, whether they bring guys in through free agency or via trade, whether they draft one at number 4, what have you. There's going to be some discourse there at the position. What comes up for me is, what does that mean for the guy that you spent your second-round pick on last year in Femi Oladipo? Now, he got some reps at that position last year. Couldn't stay healthy. I believe only played 6 games last season. And as a second-round pick, I don't believe that's acceptable. I think you're going to look for as much production out of a second-round pick as you possibly can. So, with that being said, as the depth chart moves around a little bit with you guys bringing guys in and potentially drafting one at the edge rusher position, what does it mean for Femi Oladejo's journey as we continue along?
Well, I think what it means is that he's going to get every opportunity to prove he can play in this league. Robert Saleh talked about him briefly. I think even at the combine, the question was asked about Femi. And he talked about, listen, the Titans were not the only person or the only team scouting him to have his hand in the dirt. There were other teams, and I think San Fran was one of them that were scouting him. So they are familiar with, him as a person, at least coming out. And then I'm sure if you watch some of the film, you see that there is something there. And again, we all knew this, and Borgonzi knew it when they elected to draft him last year. He was a guy that was a project, or a guy that was unfamiliar with the position that he played his senior year. Not to say that he's not going to be able to do it, but he was just unfamiliar. And when you're unfamiliar with something, it takes you a minute, to really digest it and really be able to play without any mental limitations, meaning I'm always thinking about what I'm doing. No, you react, and based upon your studying, your body knows what to do, depending on, what the offense is playing. So Femi's one of those guys that he's playing a position that he is unfamiliar with. He got a taste of it last year. Did he play? And granted, he missed a lot of the season. Did he play up to second round potential? I don't think he did, but I don't think they were expecting him to come in and be a legitimate bona fide number 2 guy. It was going to be a development thing with them. And,
right.
And they are betting on him being more of the player that they brought him in to eventually be than not. So now you bring in Saleh. you change up the defense, and he may fit this defense better than what he was asked to do with Denard Wilson. So you give him a shot and you develop him. And the good thing about him is that he doesn't know much, meaning of the position. So it's almost like clay with him. You could take him and mold him, hopefully, into the player you want him to be in the defense that you want him to play within. So that's why I say it's not just a foregone conclusion that the Titans can draft or rush in with the 4th pick in the NFL draft. Let's not forget they drafted Femi high, even though that first season wasn't lights out. Did anybody truly expect it to be lights out? It would have been, if it happened, that would have been great. But I think the organization brought him in as a guy that has a high ceiling, but we need to develop that.
Yeah.
And as long as they're willing to develop it, then okay. But if they're not, if they're looking to quickly make a change, then you're not even giving this kid a chance.
Right. I don't think they're going to move on from him. I would highly doubt that they would move on from him. I think it's good that they have a coach that's good at developing defensive players in Robert Saleh. And they've got a defensive coordinator who helped construct one of the best defensive units in the history of the NFL in the Legion of Boom in Seattle. So I think that's what he's got going for him. As of right now, and granted, a lot of things could change, but as of right now, he's a rotational guy at that position. And that's okay. Because we, like you said, D-Mace, we didn't expect for him to come in and be a lights out edge rusher. He's relatively new to the position. So it's understandable. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's just going to be eliminated from the lineup should they draft someone at number 4. I think he'll get his reps on that other side with Jermaine Johnson at that rotational piece, come in and compete, all gas, no brakes, as they say. And I think he's capable of earning his spot on this roster. And look, I don't think they're going to waive him after one season.
Oh, heck no.
That would be a mistake to let a 2nd-round pick like that go.
I'm going to say this, and it might ruffle some feathers, or it might end up getting clipped and used the wrong way.
Uh-oh.
Because of this defense, and because I think the way, the game is played now, even Jeffrey Simmons is a rotational player. From this standpoint, he starts the rotation.
Yeah.
Jeff starts the rotation. He's going to be, but he too rotates out the game. He played 2 or 3 plays, maybe, and then he rotates because they want to keep him fresh. Mm-hmm. Now, he's going to be in there longer than, say, the other guys, but he too is part of the rotation. And you got to know when to pull him and when not, when to have him fresh. Especially in the 4th quarter. So this whole defense is just a rotational defense. That's why I believe they're going to be so good, because if you take Jeff out and plug with somebody else, you're not going to lose any momentum. Mm-hmm. Even though Jeff is a hell of a player, but you feel you constructed your defense in such a way that, hey, listen, injuries may happen to him. We can't miss a beat if injuries happen to him. We got to have somebody else to be able to rotate. That's why all these guys are going to rotate. Even Jeffrey Simmons, they're going to rotate. He may have a little bit control over how he rotates in and out, but he's just going to be a rotation player as well.
I had never thought of it that way, actually.
But people are not going to clip it like that.
They're going to be, what is this guy talking about?
No, but in today's game, and I say today's game because it's not like, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Everybody, even top receivers, they're all rotational.
I would argue there's only one position that's not rotational in this league.
It's quarterback.
The quarterback.
Yeah. The center.
Tackle.
Tackle. Anybody on the offensive line and a quarterback, they're not rotational. But everybody else on the field, they're rotational.
Yeah. It's like basketball. You throw your starting 5 out there, and your starting point guard is a key piece in getting momentum for your team. But even he comes off the floor at some point.
Exactly.
So I agree with that, actually.
It's not a bad thing, especially in that.
No. It's actually a good
what
thing.
Jeffrey's done. I can't say, but he starts the rotation.
I mean, would you want Jeffrey Simmons on the field for 90+ snaps per game?
No.
That's a death
he'd
sentence.
be done by the middle of the season.
He'd be. It's like there was that one argument a couple of years ago, and I think it was a joke, but it's still dumb. Should the NFL play 82 games in a season? I was like, they would all die by game 20.
Yeah, by game 18, because
They
you're thinking
play-
about, man, we got to, oh my goodness. Even if they went to 20 games, I think guys would just be
We gotta
like
play
20 regular season games. I mean,
We got to play the Browns on Tuesday and then the Ravens on Thursday. What are you talking about? But
we better have 2 squads then if that's the case. Whew.
we're going to call it the JV team. They're going to go out there. But I agree with you, D-Mace. I think from a rotational perspective,
Mhm.
rotating in and out of that position may be good for Femi Oladejo because he can learn the ropes and he can learn, maybe not learn the ropes, but he can find his footing in this league. And I believe he is an important player heading into the opening of this new stadium because it's a guy that they're putting a lot of effort and trust into.
Mhm.
It's a guy they're trying to develop as one of the next good pass rushers for this franchise. And that doesn't mean he has to come in and put on a Canton winning season this year, but I do want to see some growth from him. And I think it's important to see some growth, especially with a new defensive staff and Robert Saleh, who, as we know, is touted as a defensive guru. So I think it's important to see steps from him, but I'm not really concerned about him not finding his place on this depth chart.
Yeah, listen, he's not. I don't envision him now. If he does go out and do it, then great. But I don't envision him a 15 sack guy. I see him somewhere in between 7 and 10, somewhere in that.
Great.
And if they can get that from him, then great. Get you some pressures. But you have to be a part of an attacking defense, and that has to be your mentality. And that's what I believe Robert Saleh want their mentality, and Gus Bradley want their mentality to be: all gas, no break. If you can do that with the skill set that he has, the more and more he develops, I think he's going to be a good player, and that's what they need in this defense. Good players.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need him to be the elite pass rusher. They don't need him to be Myles Garrett. And
No, if he was, that'd be great.
I mean, that'd be awesome. I don't think they expected that when they drafted him.
No.
They expected when they drafted him, this is a guy that has high potential. This is a guy that we can develop and make him into a capable pass rusher, a starting level pass rusher in this league. And that's all you need. You don't need, well, I say you don't need, it's great to have those guys.
Yes.
Like TJ Watt and Myles Garrett and guys like that.
Bosa.
Both Bosas
Yes.
in their primes. But it's not absolutely essential to have one of those guys on every single team. It's important to have a unit that's capable of making the plays. And I think Femi would be a great part of the unit if he can take the right steps. And I think that starts this season with Robert Saleh.
Yeah, you're not going to get Max Crosby or Trey Hendricks. You're not going to get that guy. It'd be great if he was that guy. You're not going to get, what's the kid out of Alabama that's with the Houston Texans now?
Oh,
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson.
Yep.
He's probably not going to be a real Will Anderson, but if he's a good pass rusher, a guy that can play within your defense, that's what you're looking for. If he gives you, again, a 15 sacks, that's a plus. That's a bonus. But if he's doing all those other things, then isn't that what you want? I know the sacks are the goal, sort of like that golden nugget that everybody wants. It's sack, sack, sack. But also, if I'm getting pressure, maybe I'm causing the quarterback to sort of roll out of the pocket, and maybe it disrupts the plays. Or if I get pressure in his face, he can't throw the ball like he wants to. Or I make the running back take a wide release once he gets the football. All those things matters, and none of those things are sacks, but they matter in the big scheme of things of what you're trying to do with your defense.
Correct me. You tell me if you think I'm wrong here, but I kind of liken Femi Oladejo to Keith Bullock in a way. Keith obviously is a first-round pick, but I'm not sure the Titans expected him to be this elite linebacker. And then he fit the scheme so well that I guess you could consider him that. I kind of liken it to Femi in the same way that they drafted Femi, maybe not expecting him to be an elite pass rusher, an elite guy that can just wreck a game, but they like the potential. They like what they can make out of him. And I kind of liken those two the same way. Keith is obviously way better than Femi.
Yeah,
I don't think
the
there's any
skill
argument.
set is better. I think how they want to use him, Femi. I guess it would be likened to kind of sort of to how the Titans use Keith in their defense. I thought Keith was a more athletic, or I think
Oh,
Keith
for
is
sure.
a more athletic linebacker or player than Femi is. But I think both of them, had that tenacity to play the game, that want to play the game. It's just, Keith, he got drafted at the position he played in, I believe, in college. I think Keith play some safety too.
I think so.
Yeah, Keith plays some safety too. But Keith was so versatile, they can, he can do with just about whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, he was more of an inside guy.
but they brought him in and he knew, like, he had played, he knew, like, okay, you bring Femi in, everything's new to him, So you're teaching him how to play the position where Keith came in knowing how to play the position he was at, know, and he's uber athletic and he's smart. So you had to develop Keith more, and obviously he developed into one of the greatest Titans ever.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to develop him the way you're developing Femi.
Right.
So and I hope Femi does get to that point where, people are comparing him to some of the great defensive players like Keith or Javon that have played here. Again, I'm not saying that he's Keith or Javon, but I said hopefully once he's done here, they are comparing him to that, which would tell me Saleh did a hell of a job at developing him as a player, and he did a hell of a job at taking his job serious.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Texters are pointing out to me that apparently Rick Astley did have another big hit called Together Forever. Apparently I would know it if I heard it. So
okay,
maybe David James will have to play that coming back.
Now I can't play it when you come back. We got more. We
got a lot more. We got a lot more. I can't let D-Mason have his tunes.
Yeah.
No. Come on now.
I expect great things coming back from the break. Later today, we'll play Take It to the Bank with F&M Bank. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Hopefully, Willie Donick will be here to join us for that. I did not go 0 for last week, and apparently I accidentally made a pick, and that game is currently going on right now. So hopefully it's over by the time we get there. Coming up next, D-Mason and I will continue the conversation. Plus, are we overthinking the Titans pick at 4? We've kind of talked about this a little bit throughout the show, but to wrap up our Titans conversation for the day, is it obvious that they're thinking edge and they're just smoking up all these offensive players to get someone to jump ahead of them and do it so they can grab someone when they fall to it? We'll discuss that coming up next here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes here with you on 102.5 The Game. This is so funny because my dad and I were just talking about Wham yesterday. Another band I can't name another song of, but this is a good one. Good job, D-Mace. Welcome back in. DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes here with you on this Friday. I got some tickets to give away. A pair of tickets to see the Nashville Predators this Monday take on the Detroit Red Wings at Bridgestone Arena. Puck drop at 1 p.m. It's a special matinee game as they will be broadcasting live overseas, which is good for the NHL. We'll go caller number 47 will win a pair. I'm just kidding.
Oh, that was come on, man.
We'll go 4.
There we go.
They scored 4 goals yesterday.
There we go.
Caller
Absolutely.
number 4 will win a pair of tickets to see the Predators and the Red Wings at Bridgestone Arena this Monday.
Also, Monday, our show will be a little delayed because of the game. We'll still be on, people, but we will be on after the Predator game on Monday.
There we go. And Adam Vingan, I believe, will be back.
Yes,
he will be. So that is great news to hear if you want to win those Predators tickets. Again, caller number 4 will win. D-Mace, I got a text on the text line by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Gino says, sounds like both of you guys are okay with a project pick in the second round. I am not. Shouldn't a second round pick be expected to be a solid, dependable starter by year 2?
I mean, listen, every pick is a project in a sense. Some are more project players than others, but they all are coming in here and you have to develop them. Yes, Femi has, those traits or, the measurables. He hasn't been playing a position for a long time. And, maybe, it was a reach to grab him, in the second round. But what if he does turn out? Then it'd be great that they did it. So all of these picks are crapshoots, really. They all are. The NFL tells us time and time again, just because you're drafted in the first round doesn't mean you're going to have an illustrious career.
Right.
Some guys fizzle out very quickly. But I understand what the texter is saying. It's, especially with a team like the Titans. Typically, you see this. A lot of times you see it with teams that are already established. So they sort of take a guy like Femi because they have that veteran leadership. They're still a good team. And that guy can develop in a way where you don't have to force feed him. And if he doesn't play well, it's not like your team's not going to still be good. But when you are a team like the Titans that, you don't have much step, your team's young, and frankly, the roster isn't where it needs to be, then people see, a guy like Femi as, why did you go do that? We need guys that can play now. And I get that part, but he's in year 2 now. We don't know if he's going to hit now or not. So let's save that judgment, for after the season, because, Texter did say, aren't we asking by year 2 for that guy? Well, it's year 2 for him, but we haven't seen him play.
Yeah, he hasn't played
exactly. So once he kind of gets into play, I think we can better determine whether, how that learning curve is for him.
We all say the phrase drafting players. I think we should consider it more to be drafting prospects because you don't know if any of these players are actually going to stick. Some are more surefire things than others. Like I think the Falcons drafting Bijan Robinson was a surefire success for them, and it's worked out for them well.
Yes.
But there are instances where, you think it's a surefire success and then they fizzle out quickly. Look at Jamarcus Russell. Everyone thought that was the number 1 quarterback and he was going to be a great quarterback in this league. He didn't make it 5 years before he fizzled out. So it's unfortunate. Everyone has a clock. I just think you knew he was going to be a project when you drafted him. And maybe he's not as on track to be an impact player as you would have hoped. He only played 6 games last year. And even then, I don't believe he had a sack. He may have had a couple pressures, but he's on track I think, to develop, and I think he has things working in his favor, such as Robert Saleh and such as a defense that's going to be a unit, a rotational unit, as you put it, D-Mace. I think we should just trust the process here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to work out hunky-dory and I'm just going to sunshine pump everything here. But I think in this case, you should just trust the process and think that, maybe they'll develop him into an impact player.
Yeah. And you trust in what Robert Saleh has done. And you trust that he can come in here and develop not just Femi, but the rest of the young defensive guys that they have and the guys that they're going to bring in, that they develop them in such a way that we start seeing productivity either very quickly or we know by year 2, hey, this guy may have a really good second season. Let's continue to do what we've been doing. So, I'm sort of with Femi. I'm glass half full with Femi.
I am too.
Because I think there's something there. But he has to see guys like him. I think you have to make them feel comfortable in what they're doing. Because if they don't feel comfortable in what they're doing, I don't care how much talent they have, they're not going to go out there and play to that level. If you make the position comfortable for him, and he make it comfortable for himself, meaning learning the position. Even guys without the great measurables, if they're comfortable with what they're doing, they know their job, they go out there and they perform at a level that keeps them on teams, keeps them as good players. And that's what I hope happens with Femi.
Let's see. Alex from Franklin on our text line says, the Titans have taken too many guys in round 1 that aren't immediately an impact. Instead, our project players are not ready to make contributors, notably Latham. And I'm concerned Ruben Bain Jr. is a reach compared to day 1 guys like David Bailey, Arvell Reese, and Sonny Styles and Jeremiah Love. I think that's a fair point. They, especially the last few years, they have taken project players that just haven't panned out. That's where I wanted to take it to you, D-Mace, is this all a facade and they're gathering information from every player just to garner interest from other teams and then they stick and pick like Ruben Bain? Do you think that's kind of the message here? Or do you think they're genuinely interested and they genuinely think, like it was reported, that Jeremiah Love is the best player in the draft and they're highly interested in taking him?
This is the season of, I'm going to show you one thing and I may be doing something else over here. Not to say that what I'm doing over here isn't relevant, but what I'm doing over here may be more relevant. So I don't think I think with a team like the Titans, they're trying to cover everything from the standpoint of the interviews and talking to players. They don't want no stone unturned.
Yeah.
They want to make sure they do their due diligence with all the guys that they believe can impact their roster in a good way, whether it's Jeremiah Love, whether it's Ruben Bain, Bailey, any one of those guys, or Carnell Tate, or any other wide receiver. If we believe you can help our organization, we're going to invest in talking to you, doing the things necessary, bringing you on visits. So one day it may look like, oh, they're going defensive end. Then they talk to something. Then the next day it's, oh, they may go running back. They may go receiver. Well, yeah, they're going to go somebody, but they need to talk to everybody because this is not a team that has depth or stackpile talent. Not to say, well, let's say they have young guys that needs to continue to prove themselves in this league that may end up being, good players to great players. But right now, a lot of them are still young. So I'm not going to say they don't have I think that's disrespectful to them, and I need to stop saying that.
Yeah.
They just don't have guys with enough experience, guys that are not quite developed. They've shown flashes, but they need that consistency, and that's where they're trying to get. If they can get more guys like that, then taking a shot on a Femi in the second round isn't so bad. People aren't talking about it. Why? Because the roster is developing.
I mean, every prospect has pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
There are good things and bad things to every single prospect. Ruben Bain, for example, what is the number one knock on him right now?
Arms.
Short arms. Is it an overblown argument? Maybe. Is it a valid argument? Maybe. We'll see. But every single player in this draft has something that someone doesn't like. Every player in this draft probably has something that some teams do like, or every team likes. I believe you're right, D. Mason, that they're treating this similar to the way they kind of treated the coaching search. And we're going to talk to you, but we're also going to talk to you. We're going to fact find and find everything we can. But in their heart, I think they know what they want to do. And I think they want to go edge rusher. I'm not saying they won't. And earlier in the show, I thought maybe they are going towards the offensive side of the ball and trying to, maybe, I don't know, maybe they think that Cam Ward might develop better with Jeremiah Love. And maybe that's the thing. Mm-hmm. But my gut feeling just says, I feel like they're going to go edge rusher. And I feel like they're going to go number 4. And I feel like they're going to go Ruben Bain because he fits the system so well on paper. But I could be wrong. Maybe you're right. And I'm kind of believing you as well in that maybe they do go offensively. And maybe this isn't a facade to get someone to jump ahead of them where they can get a better player fall to them. I don't know. It's such a maze and a mystery, the draft, that they tell you one thing and then they show you the other. And it's hard to decipher sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And listen, whether they go offense or defense, they just need an impact player, at least with that first pick.
Yes, they do.
They need an impact player because whether there's an offensive guy, say if everybody's screaming they need a defensive guy, they draft an offensive guy, Jeremiah Love. If Jeremiah Love comes in and he's an instant impact, people will forget about what they said about the rush in. Why? Because he's an impact player. And just like, if they get an impact player at the D-line position, outside rusher, if he goes out there and he hits, people are going to forget about, they should have gotten Jeremiah Love unless Jeremiah Love just goes off, or Carnell Tate. But if either one of them do fail, you always looking and saying, well, they should have went and got, the running back. So for me, I believe that Jeremiah Love is the first player, it's the best player in the draft. If I was the Titans, I would seriously think about drafting him, even if I gotta, you don't draft a running back now. Okay. Well, even if I have to move down 2 spots and gain a pick and still be able to get my guy, that's the guy I think I think he would fundamentally change he would be such an impact for their offense. One, Dabo won't be here for but a year.
Yeah.
I think.
That's what I think.
But then 2, he would allow Cam Ward to sort of grow and take leaps and bounds because he takes a lot of pressure off of the quarterback because if he ain't in the backfield blocking, I know I just give him the ball and he just do the rest, Yeah. He's a surefire guy that if he gets it, he has the potential of going all the way the minute he touched the football. So I think he would just help Cam and he would help Dabo because I can do different things on offense with a guy like that in the backfield.
Let me just reiterate because I feel I may have accidentally contradicted myself and caused some confusion. In my heart and in my gut, I believe that the Titans are going to take an edge rusher at number 4. However, based on some things that came out today and the things they're saying about Jeremiah Love and how they believe he's the best player in the draft, he very well could be. There is a little bit of doubt being planted in my head in that maybe they do like him. Maybe they will take him. And look, I would be on board with it. I'd be okay with it. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. We're going to move on from the Titans here. It was a not long. It was a fun hour and a half talking Titans with D Mace. But while it's just me and him, there's some big college basketball going on this weekend. And I forgot to mention to you at the top of the show, D Mace, big win for State
Sparty last night. It was a tough one, man. It was a tough one.
That was a good game, though.
Oh, yeah, it was. But we pulled it out.
Man, I feel like every time I turn on Michigan State, Cohen Carr throws something down, and he threw down this windmill last night, and I was like, that boy
He can play.
He can jump out of the gym. So we'll talk a little bit of big-time college basketball matchups coming up next, right here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes here with you on 102.5 The Game. There we go. That one hits. Welcome back in, DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes here with you on this beautiful, beautiful Friday. Fish Friday, as us in the Catholic community call it.
You know who this is? I don't expect you to know it, but I was just asking.
No, I know this song. I've heard this song.
It's the Gap Band, man.
Charlie Wilson.
Oh, no doubt. See? There we go.
He's a
There we
cultured young
go.
man.
There we go. He know his music. There we go.
Charlie Wilson, baby. Yeah, I knew I know a couple Gat Band songs. Outstanding is outstanding. But I do know some Charlie Wilson. All right, D-Mace.
Okay.
In the spirit of the Gat Band, let's talk about some college basketball. There are some big-time matchups as we wind down towards the national tournament. The Big Ten, as I was telling you in the break, has just been a fun conference this year in basketball. Michigan and Illinois at Illinois in Ames tonight is going to be a fun one. That's two teams that are very, very sneaky in the fact that they can shoot from beyond the arc. This is a game that could end 96-93. I firmly believe.
Yeah, Michigan's a good team, and I hate saying that. But Michigan's a good team, man. They're
I can
big.
just see the hatred in your eyes talking about them.
You know, they play really good defense. They can shoot. So it's with them, it's, you know, I guess with every other team that has the talent that they have, can they consistently do it week in and week out, or day in and day out, especially as the season starts to wind down and as you get into tournament play, first your tournament within your conference, and then obviously March Madness.
This is a battle of youth versus experience.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan is a very experienced team, but they're one of those teams that when they're off, they're probably going to get beat. That's just kind of how college basketball in general works, but they are the epitome of that. Illinois is a very young team. They've got, we were talking a little bit about the Sacramento Kings a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know whose son plays for Illinois?
Stoyakovic's son? Yeah.
Peja Stojakovic's son plays for Illinois. He's a really good player. So this is a battle of youth versus experience. I think home advantage would play a factor for Illinois, as Michigan's coming into a tough environment to win. But enough with the Big Ten. The SEC in action this tomorrow. There is a big game for a team in our state, a big rivalry, in fact. The Vols are hosting Alabama. That is a big one for SEC tournament seeding and a big one for Tennessee fans coming off of a win coming off of a loss against Missouri. How can they bounce back and get the win against a good Alabama team?
They just let me go to this. I'm sorry,
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I was in something else.
He's getting that playlist ready for the next break. That's what it is.
I was trying to go to that game. I was trying to go to the Missouri game. UT and Missouri. No, I think I think they're a good team. I also think that, you know, when you're playing Alabama, that's a big team, physical team.
Mm-hmm.
But Tennessee is one of those teams. And that's why, you know, in when we were talking about UT earlier this week, Connor, and UT's one of those teams where they have the size, they have the talent, but they don't always shoot well from the outside.
Yeah.
You know, they show they can be physical versus Vanderbilt. They showed that they can out-rebound you, because they did a hell of a job at out-rebounding, especially on the offensive end. I meant on the offensive end against Vandy. They did a number on Vandy on offensive rebound, at least in that second half, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But they show you a team that you think can go far in the tournament, but then they can go very cold from the outside. Now, Amit, he's shown that, you know, he's consistently becoming that guy.
Yeah.
Even had some tough shots late in the game versus Vanderbilt. But this guy and this team, they're a good team. But can they show that every night? Can they keep up the consistency every night? Can they play that type of defense that they're known for every night? Can they get the outside shooting that they need every night? And that's the deal with UT. But we can say that, like you said, we can say that about a few other teams.
Yeah.
But UT does have the talent, as well as Alabama. And both of them, I think, are firmly in the tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's just which Volunteers team is going to come out there for Rick Barnes and show up.
Yeah.
You know, because they are a talented team.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're in prove it mode right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're in okay, we know you have the pieces to be a good team and make some noise in March, but you haven't shown that consistently so far. Like Nate Ament, you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
their 5-star freshman started off the season pretty rocky, then has gotten it together since. I know he's a freshman, but it's a matter of consistency for him.
Mm-hmm.
Is he consistently knocking down shots from outside? Is he consistently making plays on the ball that lead to good things on the offensive end for Tennessee? So it is for sure prove it mode for them. They got a tough test because Alabama they're one of those teams like Michigan where if they're hitting their shots from beyond the arc, then they're capable of beating just about anyone in the nation. If they're not, they're capable of losing to everyone in the nation. So we'll see how that one works. But I don't know. I think a home environment, I believe they're playing at home. Home environment for Tennessee is going to help them out a lot. That's two teams that do not like each other, two fan bases that do not like each other. So that'll be interesting to watch. But you're right, D-Mace. It's prove it time for Tennessee, especially as they head towards Nashville, especially as they head towards the NCAA tournament. I think if they can get things together, they can make some noise, potentially make it to the second weekend of the tournament. But if not, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they'll be eliminated.
Now, you look at the Alabama's last 5 games, which they won all 5 of them. But when you playing Ole Miss in South Carolina, LSU, Mississippi State, I mean,
the bottom end.
Yeah, I mean, you did play a good Arkansas team, and you went into overtime and ended up winning that game on double overtime.
Too.
Yeah, it was. But you ran into the light part of your schedule.
Yeah.
And not to say that, Tennessee has been playing some juggernauts. I mean, they also played Mississippi State and LSU. I don't even know. OU's a good team.
They're fine.
Yeah, but they end up playing Vandy and Missouri. They went 1-1 versus and those are good teams. Missouri is a really good team.
Yeah.
If they can continue to find their shot from the outside, man, it is hard to play against those guys. And then obviously we know Vandy, and we will talk about them. But I think the last 5 games for Alabama have been pretty much cakewalks, with the exception of Arkansas. And now they're running into, I think, a good Tennessee team, even though they've come off a loss against Missouri.
Let me ask you this. Who do you think has better odds of going deeper in the tournament, Vanderbilt or Tennessee?
Oh, man. We asked Mitch this. What did we ask? Hutton, I think. He may have been Hutton or Mitch. Who has the best odds? I'm going to answer it like Willie answered it.
Okay.
Willie said if he could see both teams given the right first round matchup, he could see both teams advancing a few games in the tournament, but also can see if they get the wrong matchup.
Yeah.
You can see them out in 1 or 2 rounds, because if you look at UT, it's okay. They have the bigs, that they're a big team, but they don't always shoot well from outside. And then you add into the freshman, will he be able to, really take off in the tournament, or will the tournament be too big for him?
Mm-hmm.
So for UT, for me, it's that. For Vandy, they can run into a team that's bigger than them.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know Vandy's not a big team. They're a physical team. They're a very good team, but they're not a big team. And on offense, when they're on the offensive end, I think teams are starting to be really aggressive with Tanner. And I don't know how that will affect him in the tournament. Now, again, if they meet the right matchup with a team that's sort of similar to them in size, then I think Vandy blow the doors off. But if they run up against a team that's much bigger than them, they're going to have some trouble.
Yeah, I think you answered that perfectly. I think it's all about the draws, man. It's about who can you get matched up with. Now, if you match up with someone that could, is riding a lot of momentum, just won their conference or something, making a lot of noise, that might be a problem. A team that's bigger than you if you're Vanderbilt. But I think you're right. It's all about the matchups.
But if guys like Bing can come off the bench and because he's been sort of this surprise guy because he can play like from a defensive standpoint.
Mhm.
He can play multiple guys within your defense. He's a good rebounder, and he's been known to knock down that 3-pointer. But they also need guys like Miles, Darius Miles, to be healthy. They're going to need their bigs to stay out of foul trouble because of the brand of basketball they play. You may get a ref that's looking to call a lot of fouls.
Yeah.
And for a team that isn't big already, when you get your bigs, McLaughlin, O'Keefer, those guys in foul trouble, it's going to be hard on your on the sub. So if you can get some points out of Bean, if you get Bean to continue to play, and then I think another thing is Darius Miles. Are they going to continue to bring him off the bench? Because that may be the best thing for this team.
Yeah.
Is to bring him off the bench.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah, because he gives you that bench point, those bench points that you need. And he's still a more than capable, ball handler when you're coming up the court. Because when they take Tyler Tanner out the game, and if Miles is not there, it's hard for them to get the ball up the court.
Yeah. I mean, you need a capable point guard.
Yeah.
That's where I think Chandler Bing comes in.
Yeah.
For Chandler Bing, I guess no one told him life was going to be this way.
But he does.
This is the part where you clap like friends.
Now he's not great at bringing the ball up. He can do it.
Yeah.
But
he's not a true point
exactly.
guard.
When you start getting into the tournament, they are going to press the ball, the guy that brings the ball up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a certain level of intensity that you find in that tournament. And you need someone capable of bringing the ball up the court to push some momentum into the offense. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. Coming up next, we're hopeful to have Willie Donick join the program. Big win for the Predators last night as they took down the Chicago Blackhawks 4-2. We'll talk about that with Willie, as well as an article that has come out from The Athletic. Preferred trade destinations for certain Predators. There is a little note on Steven Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly that is very, very important, and I think could develop into a storyline as we move towards the NHL trade deadline. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David James here on DVD on 1025 The Game. Final hour, D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes, and now joined by Willie Donick here with you on the station. Willie, of course, live, just touchdown in Dallas, Texas. Predators and Stars doing battle tomorrow night. You can hear that right here on 102.5 The Game. Myself, D-Mace, and David are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game National Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, good to hear from you, sir. How are we?
Hello, gentlemen. Greetings from the Lone Star State. How are you guys doing? It's nice and warm here. I am so glad to thaw out. I know it's nice back home as well.
It's actually really nice.
It's good weather here. Yeah. We don't have to be jealous of one another. Like we've had, I've been on both sides of the ledger, haven't I, D-Mace? I've been super freezing while you guys have been warm, and the opposite has been true as well.
Did you find that Lone Star?
I have not found the Lone Star.
The Lonely Star?
No.
I just thought since you're out there,
I'll look for it. I'll look for it tonight, D-Mace.
Thanks a lot.
I'll let you guys know I'll text you guys later if I find it.
I mean, it's supposed to be kind of cold. You might need a jacket or something. I don't know.
Not tonight. We're gonna be all right.
Well, as far as last night is concerned,
Man.
Willie, nice game, fun game from the Predators last night, a 4-2 victory over the Chicago Blackhawks. I feel obligated to mention that I manifested a Matthew Wood goal, and that in fact did happen. So you're welcome.
How did you do that?
I don't know. We talked about him yesterday on the show, and I just felt it.
Yes, you did. You did. I didn't know if you did anything like a special like spell in front of the TV or one of those things, to back up when you sit on the air.
my thoughts backed it up. But Willie, what'd you make of the game yesterday and the overall performance from the Predators against the Blackhawks?
That was just a really important win to get. You're playing the Blackhawks, a team that was fading some. They're still a ways away. I think when you get down to it, the Blackhawks have taken a step forward, but they're not really a playoff team as of now. They've still got a lot of really young players. And we've talked about the full rebuild many times on the show with a lot of different teams, and the Blackhawks still are, they're going on 10 years since they've really been relevant. And Nashville just could not afford to come out and lay an egg and lose to them last night if they had any hopes. But as a result, it wasn't the best game they played all year, but they got it done. And after 3 weeks off and trying to intersperse the Olympians back in and giving some extra rest to UC Saros, I think that was a job well done. And on top of that, they got some help because Seattle lost for a second straight night. San Jose lost, and Los Angeles lost. So all of a sudden, they're right back within 2 points of that last playoff spot. So the plot has thickened a little bit.
What do you think of Ananen? I mean, he 23 shots, 21 saves. I mean, none was more important than the point blank he had right in his face. Good pass by the Blackhawks, and it was right dead center, and he ended up catching the puck. But I thought he did a really good job toward the latter part of the game, especially in the third period.
I thought he really stepped up, D-Mace. That was an important game for him. They showed confidence in him, putting him out there, because I think they probably could have pushed it. I think Saros definitely would have played, but the fact that Ananen got the nod and played so well, I think bodes well, not just for the win last night, but also how he's going to be used in these last 24, 25 games, because they've got some back-to-backs. They've got a lot of games compressed in a short amount of time. So both goalies are going to need to play some big games. So that was a good confidence boost for him. That's one of the best games I think I've seen him play. And he like the team, Ananen, has played better since the team started playing better. And that was right before Thanksgiving.
Again, O'Reilly steps up once again. I mean, you can't say enough about this guy. He's one of those pieces, and I think you said it yesterday, Willie. I know a lot of people are going to want him, and rightfully so, but it would have to take something, big to pry him away from this team, because he means so much to, where they're trying to go and what he's doing now.
We did the math last night on our post-game show. of the last 51 goals that the Predators have scored, 34 of them, so 2/3 exactly, have come from 4 guys, from O'Reilly, Stamkos, Yossi, and Forsberg. So those 4 guys, all veteran guys, are really picking up the team and putting them on their back. And it's really exciting to watch for those guys. And at the same time, for people like Adam and some of the people that are wanting the team to look more down the road 2, 3, 4 years from now, it's probably a little frustrating for that group because they're lifting them up. So it brings you back to what you're asking, D. Mason. That's what to do about the situation, right? They're 2 points out. Do you go for it or do you sell? Because you've got some attractive guys out there. The better those guys play, the more value they have on the trade market. We know Roman Josi and Philip Forsberg aren't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Stamkos has the full no trade clause, and there's news on that I know we're going to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan O'Reilly does not have a no trade clause. However, it's been said many times that they're treating him as if he does. He won't get traded unless he gives the okay. But I mean, Barry Trotz doesn't even have to make any outgoing calls, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to get calls on all these guys because they're playing so well.
Now, you mentioned it, Willie, and we'll get into it right now. There was an article put out on The Athletic by Pierre LeBrun on NHL trade rumblings, and in it was some news on some potential pieces the Predators could move. Steven Stamkos is the first one that he mentioned. He says there are 3 teams that Stamkos would wish to be traded to: the Tampa Bay Lightning, Dallas Stars, and Minnesota Wild. Now, our friend Alex Doherty asked Stamkos about that today, and Stamkos said no, they want to play meaningful games here in Nashville. Does that kind of persuade you that you think they're not going to move Steven Stamkos, or do you think they'll ask him to waive his no trade clause and see if they can get a good return from him as we get to the trade deadline next week?
It's a great question. We talked to Elliot about him yesterday. He didn't seem to be moving in that direction, right? The feel he had was he didn't think that Stamkos would get traded. They didn't think it would be that. It wouldn't get that far. But that's when LeBrun's article came out there and had the 3 specific teams, and that always makes you wonder, right? When there's a story like that, who's telling them? Who's telling the reporter that?
Yeah.
To get that specific, back to Tampa or within the division in Minnesota on a loaded team. Like, these are all really intriguing teams. It makes you wonder, I think Stamkos, his words today was, I have not had one single conversation with Barry Trotz. Well, you can look at that and say, well, did the agent, go to Steven Stamkos? Did the agent talk to Barry Trotz? Or did the agent talk to somebody? I don't know. But I'm going to go by what Steven Stamkos said, and that is he wants to stay in Nashville. So I think it would be complicated. I don't feel that it's likely at this point. Now, the next couple games can still sway things, right? You've got 4 games left until the trade deadline. And they're all against good teams. They're all against teams that are battling for playoff spots. You've got Dallas, one of the best teams in the league. They've won 7 in a row. They're on fire. You've got Detroit, who's having a really good year. Columbus, who's right on the edge of the playoffs. They're battling with some good young players. And you got Boston, who's also a playoff team. Those 4 games, you go 1-3, you go 0-3-1. That might have you going, well, let's get the phone going on that last day and see what's out there. I think the good news for Barry Trotz is he doesn't really have to trade Stamkos or O'Reilly. I think for sure those 2 guys, you would love. There's nothing wrong with bringing those guys back next year and having them be the great influence they've been on the young players and staying competitive. I mean, you're going to have a chance to win when you got those guys in the lineup. I think the trickier one is the guys who are pending free agents, right? You've got Michael Bunting, and you've got Michael McCarron. You've got Eric Halla, who played another really good game last night, coming off of that great Olympic performance for Finland. I think those are guys that are really going to be the tough calls because I don't know that right now they've gone down the road with extending any of those guys. And so Those are the choices I think Barry Trotz will make. And every time they win, it makes the decision for Barry Trotz, I think, even tougher.
Yeah, I think it's important to detail that Steven Stamkos has a pretty sizable contract as well, right? He's got an $8 million cap hit. So whoever takes him on is taking on a substantial contract. And like you said, Will, he doesn't have, or he has the no trade clause as well. So that's important to detail. And I think it's important to detail that as well for Ryan O'Reilly, that he doesn't have that, but they treat him as such. So I am with you, Willie, and I'm not sure that they're willing to move off of either of them. I feel like they feel like they're going to play some meaningful games as they come down the stretch here. And I think if you trade both of those guys away, that meaningful game message goes away. So I'm with you. I don't know if they're going to move on from those two as of right now.
Stamkos would be difficult. A lot would have to happen. I can't completely rule it out. But you mentioned the contract. It is important to recognize that Stamkos has, and he's, the age he is, he's 35, I think, maybe 36 at this point. I got to double check that. But he has 2 more years at $8 million per year, next year and the year after. So getting him under the salary cap for a team this year, that's one thing. It's not easy, but I think there'll be some teams that can find a way to do it. But it's, can you absorb those next 2 years? And if I'm Barry Trotz, if I'm even listening, this is just me, what you can do in the NHL is you can retain salary. The Predators have one spot where they could retain some money on a salary and maybe get more in the process. I'm really not interested in that if I'm Barry Trotz. I think he's in a pretty good position where he can dictate what he's asking for. And so I think that will make it even more unlikely that they could trade Stamkos. But hey, like Elliot said, you can go on and be very sure how you feel about a situation one day, and it completely could shock you in the next day.
How do you think LaRue played yesterday? I know he only got 9 minutes, but how do you think it went for Zach?
I think it was a good start. Andrew Burnett was asked about him last night. The Predators came right out of the gate. They took a high stick, 2-minute penalty, then got a double minor, Eric Halla, right after that. So they spent 6 of the first 10 minutes of the game killing off penalties. And so Andrew Burnett pointed out that when that happens, sometimes it's hard to get younger players or guys lower in the lineup regular minutes. So that's part of the reason he only played 9 minutes. But I do think he had a good positive impact on the game. He does do a little bit of penalty killing. And then, of course, when the game gets tight late, you tend to shorten the bench. So that also meant a little less playing time for LaRue. But I thought it was a good start where he could build off of. I'd like to see him, have some more offensive influence. And hopefully that will come over time. But I think it was a good start for Zach.
How do you think they obviously, I think we're going to see UC Saros in net tomorrow. He didn't play last night because of rest of the Olympics, but how do you think he rides some momentum coming out of the Olympics into tomorrow's matchup?
That is going to be a really big question. By the way, Stamkos just did turn 36 during the Olympic break, so he's just 36. So that's just something to keep in mind. So you've got next year and the year after to consider if you're the team that's interested in trying to get him to waive the no trade clause. As far as Saros, I watched him yesterday at the morning skate. He had a good long workout. It took him a long time to get back. I think it turned out to be, in hindsight, a very good decision because he's going to get the extra rest. He's playing a really tough team tomorrow in Dallas. But if this is going to be a thing, and when I say be a thing, where they sort of stand pat, we know they're not going to add, right? The Predators are not in a position to where they're going to trade future assets to try to buy talent. If they're going to try to stand pat to a degree and try to grab that last playoff spot, maybe trade 1 or 2 guys, but not a bunch, if they've got to have the confidence that UC Saros can play his best in this last third of the season. They can't just have solid goaltending. They're going to need great goaltending. And if they get that, then I think they do have a realistic shot. I think the percentage chance of them making the playoffs has gone up, even just in the last couple of days, because of these teams I mentioned that have lost a couple, and the Predators won the first game. It's up to like 30%, which may not sound like a lot, but it's so much higher than it was, 4 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. And remember, there was a day, Derek, we had on the show where Adam pointed out that their chances were like 0.1%.
Which
That was
means they
around
still had a
Thanksgiving time.
chance.
Yeah, like we're telling you that a chance. Well, it's climbed some, but they're going to have to keep playing well. I looked at it this way, guys. They've got 24 games left. If they go 14, I think I calculated 14, 8, and 2, that would put them at 91 points. And I think 91 is, I don't want to say it definitely gets you in, but I think it very likely gets you in at that point. And so 14, 9, and 2, is that or 14, 8, and 2, 14, 9, and 2, is that doable? I think it's doable. It's not easy, but that's where I get into, you got to have a guy like UC Saros steal you a couple more games. He's already stolen a bunch, but you need that consistent play from he and Onanen if you're going to get that.
Now, why didn't Brady Shea play in the second period?
We on our broadcast, I'll be honest, this happens sometimes. I didn't notice the first few times he wasn't taking his regular shift. And then it was pointed out, Greg Harvey, our statistician, we have a monitor, and every team has this. You have a monitor that there's a chip in everybody's jersey. And so it's green when everybody's on the bench. If somebody leaves the bench, your chip goes red. So that is when you notice a guy's not there. So sometimes a guy can slip back in the locker room without anybody noticing. And you're like, oh, Shea's got a red dot. We noticed that in the second period. So then what we do is we go to the TV truck and say, well, let's look at the last shift he played and see if we can find anything. Sometimes you can't. He did take an awkward hit in the corner. It looked like it was up high. I don't know exactly what happened, but I would guess, like there is in football, there's an independent spotter that can tell you, hey, I need you to come back here and get checked just to make sure nothing's going on with concussion or anything like that. Now, that was a little lengthier than the normal time it takes to do that. So I don't know exactly if there was something else that he had to get worked on back there, but he was definitely affected, I think, by whatever happened in the corner there. So we showed it on the broadcast, but he's back. He got back in there ready to go. He's been pretty durable, so I think they'll move forward with that. I don't think there's any after effects of it, but that was tough, losing him for a period there.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. Our phone and text line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll talk a little bit more Preds with Willie on the other side here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, Willie Donick, David James with you on 102.5 The Game. Rick Springfield, D-Mace, you shouldn't have. Look at you, man.
Oh, yes, he should have.
I'm so proud of you. D-Mace
Good
wants.
choice.
Yeah, this is great. D-Mace has been
Jesse's
on.
girl, man. Come on.
I hear that we've been on time with the 80s pop hits today. Is that what we've got today?
Absolutely, Willie. Come on. You know how we roll.
Yes, except he played
man,
Rick Astley. And I was like, D-Mace, what are we doing? Like, this isn't.
Come on, nothing wrong with Rick Astley.
Not at all.
Yes,
Not
there
one
is.
bit, no.
It's a
Come
bad
on,
song.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's an 80s song, okay, man?
Look, I live in the world of 80s pop. I'm ahead of my time in terms of music. I do not like Rick Astley. I'm not okay with that.
Bad take.
Something is wrong with you.
Exactly.
Maybe so. Maybe I was raised incorrectly. DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Duke, Derek Mason, Willie Donick here. The Predators in action tomorrow against Dallas. Now, Willie, this is obviously a team that's been a thorn in the side of the Predators for some time now. It's a division rival. It's a team that I think objectively is probably better than this Predators squad right now, but they are missing a key guy as he was injured in the Olympics, and Mikko Rantanen. How do you think the Predators can take advantage of that and hopefully will themselves to success tomorrow against Dallas?
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be playing them because they do have a lot of Olympians on that team. They also today announced that, and this is the new wrinkle in the CBA, that you can't do the old trick of, yeah, my guy's hurt, he can't play. Oh, he's ready for the playoffs. You can't do that anymore. There actually is a salary cap in the playoffs now. So Tyler Seguin, who's been with them for a long time, he's one of their leaders. They have deemed him now officially out for the season. So what that does, he can't play. He can't even come back for the playoffs, but they now have his cap space, and he's got a big number. I think it's like $9 million, where they could use that to add to their group. I think that's probably part of the speculation for somebody like O'Reilly or Stamkos. O'Reilly's price tag is only in the $4 million plus range, 4.5, I think. That's a piece of cake to get under your salary cap. But now when you lose a guy like Seguin, you can get a bigger number involved, probably multiple players. But what's happening with the Stars right now is not only Mikko Rantanen, but Rope Hintz, another critical guy for them. He's been a Predator killer over the years. I think they've eased him back in there. He's listed as day-to-day. I don't think he played in their first game back. So we'll have to check on him tomorrow. Radek Faksa is another guy that played in the Olympics that wasn't able to go. So they're down a couple of guys, but the thing about the Stars is they're very deep. They beat you with depth.
Mm-hmm.
And they play really good defense. They've got excellent team goaltending. So it's always a challenge when you play them. But if you look at the two meetings earlier in the season with the Predators, they had the lead in the third period in both of them. And it was during the time of the season where the Predators just could not figure out how to win a close game. Remember, they were losing a lot of games late where they were just making the wrong play at the wrong time. That was the case with Dallas. They missed opportunities to get points against them early in the year. So let's see how it turns around tomorrow. But, Matt Duchene is back. He missed a lot of time earlier. He's kind of anchoring them. You've got Jason Robertson, who was kind of the snubbed guy that was very, very well deserving, perhaps, of making the U.S. Olympic team. They decided not to go with him. And so he's probably more fresh as a result. So they bring a lot to the table. It's always tough playing them. But I think what people need to know about them right now is they're winning much more with defense than with offense right now. And that's a little bit unusual when you think of Dallas.
Yeah, especially the firepower that they have. What would this game, Willie, mean for the Preds if they can get a victory or if they can get some points coming out of this game? Because, like you said, these next 5 games for them is going to be crucial when you're talking about the trade deadline. But after that, if they can win this game,
I think if I'm Barry Trotz, I'm watching this game close because I don't think Dallas will end up catching Colorado. Colorado has leveled off some. Colorado was just, the first half of the season or so, it's like they couldn't lose even if they tried.
Yeah.
But Minnesota and Dallas, despite how well they've been playing, it didn't look like there was a chance they could catch them. Minnesota went to Colorado and won last night. They've won 6 in a row. So they're within 5 points of the Avs. The Avs have a couple of games in hand, so there's still a little bit of cushion there. But if I'm Barry Trotz, Dallas, Minnesota, and Colorado are all championship contenders. There's no question about it. So I think you want to take a look and say, hey, let's be real here. Can our team have a puncher's chance if we play this card and decide to go for it? If we get into the playoffs, do we have a shot? Could we hang with these guys? And that's where I think the guys in that locker room who've been saying it every day, hey, we want to play meaningful games here in Nashville. We're not mailing it in. We want to make the playoffs. We want to keep this team together. Well, this is a great opportunity to show that you can play with the best in the league on the road. So I think that's what this would do. If you could play a good game and find a way to get points, get a win, at least take it to overtime, I think that's a signal that you're trying to send to your GM, hey, keep this team together.
Do you think it's a mentality that they have right now, Willie, where they're just saying, we're playing to stay here? Or do you think there are any guys that on this roster that know they could possibly be used as trade assets later on?
I think it's natural. It's human that even if you're not on social media, I think Michael Bunting, who is he's a guy that's been through it himself many times. He's changed addresses. He and Eric Halla, if you put together a list of teams that they've played for, it's a long list, right? They've both been well-traveled. Well, they got the suitcase. They got the, when you put the sticker on the suitcase of all the places you've been, it's a lot of stickers, right? And what Michael Bunting said the other day, he said, I just don't go on my phone. I shut down social media to try to keep it away from everything. But I think you can't, it's really hard these days to not figure out what's going on, right? Somebody is going to call you and say, hey, I saw so-and-so say that you might be going over here. Or you might be traded over to Edmonton. Or they're looking at you over here in Carolina. There's all kinds of rumors. It could probably drive you nuts. So I think the players who are obviously trade targets are aware of that. Their agent is probably letting them know that. And at the same time, I think you can only control what you can control. And that is, and I think this is where I give this team a lot of credit, is they, even when they were struggling, they never quit. They've shown the ability to come back. We did the math last night. They've won 21 games since that night before Thanksgiving in Detroit, where they started to turn things around. 16 of those 21, they've been behind in the game. That's a phenomenal stat to come back that many times.
Yeah.
So they've got some character. They have not broken apart through the adversity. So that's serving them well right now. But I think it continues to be a challenge as you count down, because they're human, right? They know that any day the phone could ring and they could say, hey, you've been traded to so-and-so.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Scott in Hendersonville is on the line, waiting very patiently. Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you were talking about a puncher's chance. Who was the first team to win in Colorado this year?
That would
be the Nashville Predators.
And what is the Preds season record versus Colorado this year?
They are 2-2, I think, right?
They are, in fact. And what's our record versus Minnesota? Given if you take away ridiculous referee calls to give them games,
they're 1-0-2 against Minnesota. They've had 3 games that have all gone to overtime against Minnesota. They've won 1 and lost 2, and all 3 have been just tremendous to watch.
Yes, puncher's chance. I don't doubt for a second that we can hang with anybody. But if you will remember a couple of weeks ago when I called in to upbraid Adam publicly, I'm feeling much better about my prediction that we in fact wind up as wild card 1 and not wild card 2, in which case we are in the Pacific Division, which right now there's such a huge difference. I mean, the 3 best teams in the league are in our division, but right now we're like 5. If we were in Pacific Division, we'd be 5 points out of hosting a playoff series. That's how big of the difference is.
That is true, and it's hard to believe that with where they were after however many games that was. I guess 20. The first quarter of the season, basically, when they were 6-12-4. So
yeah,
that it is really, Scott. You clearly have the belief, right? And you might be in the minority. I probably am the one that has been fanning this flame just to try to play the other side, because I understand you do have to be realistic that despite their success against these heavyweights in the regular season, in a playoff series, it can be a little different. Now, the one thing you just can't know, right? You can't assume that, hey, if you play Colorado, they're going to have everybody healthy and you're going to have everybody healthy. Remember a couple years ago, right, UC Saros got hurt in the second to last game, and that took any belief away. I mean, they took a lot of belief away, or their chance away from hanging with them. But what if it happened on the other foot, right? There's nothing that says they couldn't have an injury or two that could level the playing field a little bit. That's why you play the games.
Who's healthy and who's hot? Is UC hot right now, and is Wedgwood or Ottinger or whoever we're playing against not? That makes more of a difference, I think, than anything. I personally think we match up well against Colorado and Minnesota. I don't think we match up well against Dallas at all, or Vegas if we're in the other bracket. But most of the no one else I'm really scared of in the playoffs. I mean, anything can happen in a series like that, especially given that since Thanksgiving we've been on a 100-point pace, and I think that's really who we are. We are who we thought we would be when they first brought all these high price free agents in. We finally started playing like that. And you mentioned going 14-8-2 or whatever. That's just about a game off of the pace we've been playing at.
Thanks for the call, Scott. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Scott has been carrying this torch. And Derek, you know this. He's got that at him several times. I would have to say, how I am a glass half full guy. I might not be quite where Scott is, but I am a guy who has always said I am not you have to feel like you're the favorite and have a chance to win the whole thing, or it's not worth going for. I think it would be a great story just in a vacuum for this team to go from where it was to finding a way into the playoffs. That would be a fun season that I would look back on in 5 or 10 years and say, you know what? That was a fun run, even if they lose in the first round of the playoffs. Now, I think that when I say that makes people like Adam and others, it makes their stomach churn, because there is potentially a price to pay if you pass up on opportunities to grab future assets, or you pass up on a chance to slide down the standings, get a few more ping pong balls where you could get a high first round pick, which everybody covets, right? Those guys that are hard to find at the top of a draft. But so I can see it going either way. If they go 0-3 in one of these next 4, look, I would have to say, do what you need to do. Play for next year, play for 2 years down the road. But if they keep giving you life and they have this, what they have now, guys, in a lot of locker rooms, and one of the first teams I'll have to say that I ever saw do this was James Franklin's Vanderbilt football teams. Maybe other teams, I'm sure some other teams were doing this, but they give you that inside the locker room atmosphere where they get the camera in there. You actually see what's getting talked about. And it's a lot of fun. You get some laughs out of it, but it also does give you a little bit of window in what the talk is. And I hear Roman Yossi, I hear Ryan O'Reilly, I hear Steven Stamkos, the leadership group, Philip Forsberg. They all say the same thing. If we play our game, we can beat anybody. We can hang with anybody. So on paper, they're not as deep as these top teams, but they have a belief. And I think that goes a long way, right? And it would be hard for me if I'm Barry Trotz to just completely break that up if you still feel that in another week here, if they continue to win some games here in this next week or so.
Yeah, Willie and I think pretty identically when it comes to this. I have never been one to say they need to just sell it off if they're not going to win the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup or the NBA Finals or what have you. I've always been one to say I hope they do as best they can just so they can build some momentum into next year. So I feel the same way.
Now, this is interesting coming from a Kentucky basketball fan.
Yeah.
Connor, because
the
highest expectation every year is like, we're not 25-3. What's wrong? I don't know what's going on.
All right, they're the exception. Okay.
See, Adam is a Duke basketball fan. He's got the same mentality, right?
Yes.
I do think that kind of does shape your belief on what the right thing to do is. I completely understand the people that are saying, look, they're not a loaded team. They're not as good as some of the best Predators teams that we watch, not on paper, right? So I understand that in the situation they're in, especially when you hear what's out there on the trade market where teams might be offering you some really good stuff for some of your players, it's hard to pass on that. But I'm just pointing out the other side because I think there's merit to both sides.
Speaking of Kentucky, we got Take It to the Bank coming
Yes,
up.
we do.
Yes, and that will be one of the questions.
Tilt.
It will be one of the questions. Just know that.
He teased it. We'll do it coming up next. Take It to the Bank with F&M Bank coming up next right here on D-Mace, Vingen, and Donning on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, let's tell you about F&M Bank. And yes, it is time to take it to the bank in just a moment. And we're going to have some fun with that with Connor jumping in there. What do we think? Vanderbilt at Rupp Arena and the Kentucky Wildcats. Whoo, it's going to be fun. What a battle that's going to happen at Rupp. But we do that every Friday at 5:45. And it's brought to you by F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. They want to take some of the stress out of your financial game. And it's easy to get stressed about that stuff. No question, no matter where you are in life. If you're just right out of college and just trying to get your arms around a budget, where are you living? Am I paying the rent? All of these things to maybe later stages of life. You're looking to put some money away. Maybe you need a business-to-business loan if you're a small business owner. Maybe your family needs a HELOC. You got some tuitions to pay. All of these things, they have expertise and tools to help you with. So just go to myfmbank.com and find the nearest location to you. Jump on in there and let them help you. It's outstanding. myfmbank.com. There are 20 locations in our listening area. You just find the one that's in your backyard. Great stuff. F&M Bank, member FDIC. We take it to the bank next.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Take it to the bank here on D. Mace, Vingen, and Donick. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, Willie Donick here with you, wrapping it up here on this Friday and for the week. As always, we'll recap last week. David James, the floor is now yours, my friend.
Thank you for that, Connor. So first off, boys, let's go off with the general questions. So they weren't the best general questions out there because we did not do well because we picked Tennessee versus Vandy. All of us picked Vandy and Tennessee won, so no points off of that. But we did pick the USA versus Canada gold medal match, and only one of us got the right goal. We all said that USA would win, but only one of us picked Jack Hughes,
And who
and
was
that
that?
was that.
Me.
Derek Mason,
Nice
go
job,
green,
teammates. All
go
right.
white.
Absolutely.
I got to give you guys credit. That was smart.
It was a good one. You're welcome, y'all. I decided I want to do something a little different. But also let's go to our regular picks. So Connor, I'm gonna start with you because I saw the points there. First and foremost, for everyone out there, Connor picked a game that was starting today, right as soon as the game as our show started.
What?
I
didn't realize that. I didn't realize that until Monday came
Is it
and
still
Connor and I
going?
were talking. No. It is, but
They're
his
in the
pick
top of
was-
the eighth right now.
His pick was that there would be 10 plus runs for the Tennessee versus UCLA game. It's 11-4, so I'm giving him the points for that. And he also said Duke over Michigan. I got the points for that. He got the points for that for a total of 6 total points from last week for a total of 111 points.
Yes.
So
Okay.
Adam Vinkin, he's inching closer to Willie. Now let's go to Willie. Willie, you said that Belmont would make 10.5 or over 10.5 threes. That didn't happen. But
No, it did not. They
But
won
you
easy,
did.
but they did not hit the threes.
But you did go Purdue, and they did win by 11.5 for a total of 3 points for 128 total points. So you still.
So what's my lead? What's the lead right now? I have 128. What does Adam have?
17. So you have a 17-point lead right now.
A 17-point lead. Ooh. Yeah, we're getting the
getting
calendar is
close.
going to turn to March here. This is the stretch run. We got one more month in the competition. I got to hold off the pursuit.
Now, D-Mace, you had you did well for your pick, but all your other picks weren't the best. You said Duke Miles would play. He did play.
He didn't.
He didn't get 15. He got
shot
12.
horrible.
He got 12 points.
I know,
He
but he shot horrible. That game, he shot horrible.
And then you also said you wanted to get a little fancy with it. And you said Quinn Hughes would also score. So you would say it was a Hughes matchup for the USA.
A huge day for the USA.
But Quinn Hughes did not score.
Dang it.
So you didn't get any points for that. But you had 1 point for total 89 total points.
Okay, I'll take 89.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
Now, I said Iowa State over BYU. BYU crushed Iowa State. But I said Arizona over Houston. Got that point for 94 total points.
Man, I'm still in last.
Now,
place.
Demas, you have the general question.
Yes, I have today's general questions. All right, the first question is the Vanderbilt Kentucky game tomorrow at Rupp Arena.
Oh, no.
Over under for points scored is 155.5. Each team is averaging over 80 points per game. I think Vandy's averaging a little bit more than 80. I think like 83 83, 87. And Kentucky's averaging just at 83, I believe. So with that being said, 80 points. With that being said, over under 155 for the whole game. 155.5. What y'all got?
I'll take the over. I think this is going to be a competitive matchup. I don't think it'll go quite like it did last time in Memorial Gymnasium. I would still take Vanderbilt to win. I think revenge factor is going to be a thing for Kentucky. They're going to want to hit shots and hit them early. But I do think this is two teams that are capable of scoring the ball at a pretty high level at some points throughout the game. I would take the score to be like 85-80 or something like that.
Okay, so
I'll take the over. Yeah.
Willie?
I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under.
Hmm.
And I don't know this. I wonder how many times, if any, Vanderbilt has been favored, and it's a 1.5 point spread.
Mhm.
But has Vanderbilt ever been favored at Rupp? before. I don't know.
Hmm.
I maybe once,
Yeah.
maybe the Billy Gillespie. I don't.
Maybe
I
a
mean,
couple
if it's
years
happened,
ago.
it might be 1 or 2 times ever at Rupp. I mean, they've been playing at Rupp since the 70s.
Mhm.
Vanderbilt's probably been there 50 times, 50 plus times. I am really interested in this game, but I'm going to go under on the 155.5.
I'm with you, Willie. Ah, man, because each team, they're giving up just about 70 points a game, somewhere around there. I'm taking the under on this one. For some reason, I'm taking the under.
You know, I hate to agree with you guys as well, but you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to be with Connor. I'm going to go over.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We love
All right.
points here.
All right. The second game, another big matchup. Virginia play host to the number 1 ranked team, Duke Blue Devils. I know Adam will like this one. Virginia hasn't beaten a ranked team. Well, the last time they played a ranked team was January 24th, North Carolina, and they lost 85-80. Every game since have been against unranked teams, and they pretty much wiped the floor with all of them. Now they run into the number 1 team in the country in Duke. Duke is a 10.5 point favorite. Are you taking it over? Will Duke cover? Let's say that.
Oh,
Will Duke cover?
Will Duke cover? Okay. Duke has just been steamrolling teams as of late. And I realize some of that is the product of the conference they play in. The ACC it's not a horrible basketball conference, but it's not what it used to be in terms of power conferences in college basketball. So I think Duke continues to steamroll.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take them to cover
Okay.
against Virginia.
Willie?
I concur with Mr. Newt. I am going to say Duke will pull away and cover the 10.5. Virginia is not the Virginia of the last few years where they win games 50-49 and they have the great defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're scoring more. They're really good. But I Cameron Indoor, I got to take Duke.
I think Duke covers. I think they cover.
And this is for you. Give me Virginia!
Oh, wow.
Okay, he's taking Virginia.
It's a little different.
His new child just covered her ears for the first time.
Can't hear that song. All right, everybody. Now we are for the general picks. I will start it off. I am going with, I think Illinois will beat Michigan. I didn't even look at the line on that game. It may be
1.5
even.
Michigan.
Michigan 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm taking Illinois to beat Michigan. Also, UT and no. Yeah, UT and Alabama. Give me Alabama. I'm taking Alabama on that one.
I will go back to Rupp Arena tomorrow for my first pick. Give me Otega-Oweh 25 or more points against Vanderbilt. He's been on a roll lately in terms of scoring. I don't think it's enough for them to win, but I'll take Otega-Oweh 25 or more points. And then I will go to, let's see here. I'll go to the other big time matchup in the SEC tomorrow, Florida and Arkansas. Florida minus 10.5, I think is a bit too much. Give me John Calipari and the Piggies to cover against Florida. I would take Florida to win. Give me the Razorbacks to cover.
Willie.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go. You've got me intrigued with the two big games, but I'm going to go to the two schizo teams that really need to win, Missouri and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Missouri to handle Mississippi State. Somehow Missouri is only a 1.5 point favorite against Mississippi State, who I have not been impressed with. I'm going to take Missouri, who's not as good on the road. They need a road win here. I'll take Missouri minus 1.5, and I will take Georgia minus 11.5 at home against South Carolina.
Well, all right, D-Mace, you actually took one of my picks. I was going to pick the Virginia versus Duke game, but I'm going to do a little different. Now I'm going to go with both Vandy picks. I'm going to say The Vandy men's basketball game against Kentucky, I'm going to go with, I did say under, so I can't do, or I did say over. So 10 plus threes. I'll say 10. They make 10 threes, plus threes against Kentucky. And then Mikhail Blakes has been awesome. That girl deserves National Player of the Year. Give me 30-piece against the Tennessee Volunteers.
30-piece.
30-piece. Maybe the 6th time in this season against ranked teams.
It is kind of tough to believe. Tennessee Lady Vols could miss the women's tournament for the first time in history, which is unbelievable.
And Michaela Blakes is doing Caitlin Clark kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yes, she is. She's deserving of National Player of the Year. I don't think there's any arguing that, at least from me. That's how I feel about that. Been a fun show. Been a fun week with you guys, or I guess 2 days in my case. I appreciate the opportunity to fill in the absence of Adam Vingan. He will be back Monday with you guys. I'm sure you guys will have a ton to talk about with his new family. And keep in mind, Preds will be in action on Monday. These guys will come on right after. As for me, I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for Weekend Huddle with myself and Nick Frazier. For Derek Mason, for Willie Donick, for David James, my name is Connor Newt saying so long. We'll see you next week here on DVD on 102.5 The Game.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Friday and weekend. I love you. The team loves you. You hear this music. Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. See you Monday, an abbreviated show. We will come on after the Predators game against the Dallas Stars. Peace.